Good morning, students. My name is Mukul Yadav, and in this class, we are going to see the solution of online test paper of physics, which was conducted yesterday. Okay, and along with the solution, I am going to tell you that most of the students where they makes the mistake while solving the problems. Okay, so without any delay, let us start. So in the exam paper there were 25 questions. Question 1 to 20 were objective type. Okay, where 4 options were given to you and you have to pick one right options. And 21 to 25 was subjective type. Okay. So question 1. So question 1 was the percentage error in the mass and speed are 2% and 3% respectively. What is the maximum error in kinetic energy calculated using these quantities? Okay, so you have given percentage error in mass as well as percentage error in speed. So percentage error in mass is given to you, which is equal to 2%, and percentage error in velocity is also given to you, which is equal to 3%. Okay, so such kind of problems we already discussed in our class notes as well. So kinetic energy formula, all of you know, the kinetic energy is equal to half of mv square. So here you can see that mass and this velocity, they are in product, and velocity raised to power 2 is there. So if you want to find out the relative error in kinetic energy, then we can write that relative error in kinetic energy is equal to relative error in mass plus twice of relative error in velocity. Okay, this formula we already discussed in class notes. So change in kinetic energy divided by kinetic energy is called the relative error in kinetic energy. If you want to find out the percentage, then you have to multiply 100 in the both sides. Okay, so here this become percentage error in kinetic energy, and this is percentage error in mass plus twice of percentage error in velocity. So this will be percentage error in kinetic energy is equal to percentage error in mass is given to as 2% plus twice of percentage error in velocity, which is equal to 3%. So this is equal to 2. So 2 plus 6. So this is equal to 8%. Okay. So percentage error in kinetic energy is 8%. So option D is correct. Okay. Here this half is constant. So I already told you that if you are multiplying some quantities by any constant number, so that constant number is not going to affect its error. Okay. So you can simply remove that constant quantity. Okay. So question number 2 was more or less same only. Here the percentage error in length is given to you and you have to find out the percentage error in area. So the length, so what is going to be percentage error in length of a square. So length of a square, percentage error in length of a square is given to you, that is equal to 2%. You have to find out the percentage error in area. So area of a square, you all know that area of a square is always equal to length into length. So L square you can write. Okay. So directly I am just writing here. Okay. So A means area. So relative error in area I can write. This will be equal to twice of relative error in length. Now you know that relative error we can convert it into percentage error by multiplying it by 100. So relative error in area is equal to relative error in length, twice of percentage error in area is equal to twice of percentage error in length. So this is equal to 2 times percentage error in length is given to as 2, so answer will be 4. So percentage error in area is equal to 4%. This will be your answer. Okay, so option A is correct. Okay, question number 3. Question number 3. Here, in question number 3, most of the students, they commit the mistake. I don't know what's the reason behind it. Maybe some of the students, they don't know the formula of pressure. So, in your previous classes, you have already learned about the pressure, which is equal to force by area. Okay. So first of all, what is given to you? That percentage error in length is given to you. Okay. A force F is applied on the scale plate of side L. Okay. So some scale plate is there, whose side is given to as L. Side of scale plate. Side of scale plate is given to as L. So area will be, area is equal to length into length. So this will be A scale. Okay. So area I am just representing by capital A. So if I want to find out the percentage error in area, so I can write this will be delta A by A is equal to twice of delta L in L by L. Okay. Percentage error will become directly, here I can write percentage error in area is equal to percentage error in length. So percentage error in area we find out, this will be twice of percentage error in length. So percentage error in length is given to you as, so in the problem percentage error in length is given to as 2%. So this will be 2 into 2. So your percentage error in area comes out to be 4%. Okay. Now percentage error in force is also given to you. So percentage error in force I can write delta F by F, percentage error in force is equal to, which is equal to 4% only. Okay. Now here he asks you that what is the percentage error in pressure. So first of all you are going to write down the formula of pressure. So pressure is always equal to, pressure P is always equal to force F divided by area. This is the formula of pressure. Okay. So now you know that if a quantity Z is equal to A divided by B, A, B and measured quantity. So relative error in Z or percentage error in Z is equal to delta A by A, relative error in A plus relative error in B. This is the formula. Similarly, P is equal to F by A is given to you. So that means I can write that relative error in pressure is equal to delta relative error in force plus relative error in area. Now if you want to convert it into percentage, then simply you have to multiply the 100 in the both sides. Okay. So this becomes percentage error in pressure is equal to percentage error in force plus percentage error in area. So percentage error in pressure I can write, this will be equal to percentage error in force. So that is already given to you, that is 4%, plus percentage error in area. So that is also given. So percentage error in area we already find out with the help of length. So this is equal to 4%. So 4 plus 4 is equal to 8%. So this will be your answer. Okay. So percentage error in pressure is 8%. So option D is correct. Okay. So all the students, what they need to do, they have to write down the solution of each and every question in their notebook. Okay. Because these questions they are very important for you in the future. Maybe the same kind of the problem will be asked to you. Okay. So you should not repeat the same mistake again. Okay. So for that, what you need to do, you have to just solve this paper again. And all these solutions you have to write down in your notebook, such that when you are solving the same paper again, you should not face any kind of difficulty. So let us come to question number 4, which is equal to the percentage error in the measurement of length of a cube is given to you, 3%. You have to find out the percentage error in volume. So all the questions were more or less same type. Here error in length is given to you. You have been asked that what is the error in volume. So percentage error in length is given to you, which is equal to 3%. So I can write delta L by L. Percentage error in length is 3%. You have been asked what is the percentage error in volume. So first of all, you know that formula of volume is L cube. So you can write that percentage error in volume or relative error in volume is equal to 3 times relative error in length. And if you multiply both sides by 100, so this becomes percentage error. So this is equal to 3 times percentage error in length. So percentage error in length is given to as 3%. So 3 into 3. So this comes out to be 9%. Okay. So your option D is correct. Question number 4. Answer is 9%, which is equal to D. Okay. Question number 5 is very easy. Again, this is question number 4. Question number 5. What is given to you as Z is given to you as A raised to power 1 by 3. This is given to you. And he asks you that if the percentage error in A, delta A by A, percentage error in A is given to as 1%. So then what is the percentage error in Z? So you know that power will comes in the multiplication. So if I want to find out the relative error in Z, so I can write delta Z by Z is equal to 1 by 3 relative error in A. Okay. You already know that formula Z is equal to A raised to power n. Okay. If I want to find out the relative error in Z, then it is equal to n times relative error in A. Here the value of n is simply 1 by 3. That's it. Okay. So 1 by 3, n value is 1 by 3. So n will be 1 by 3 into relative error in area, which is going to give you the relative error in Z. So relative error in area, okay, so percentage error in area is given to you. So if you multiply by 100, then it becomes percentage error in to the both sides. If you multiply the 100 both the sides, then it becomes the percentage error. So percentage error in Z is equal to 1 by 3 times of percentage error in area. So this is 1. So your answer will be 1 by 3%. Okay. So question number 5, option A is correct. Okay, question number 6. Okay, question number 6. 1 minute. Okay, question number 6. Again, question number 6, Z is given to as AB square, and percentage error in A is given to you, B is given to you. You have to find out the percentage error in Z. So all the problems are more or less same type. One formula we are using in each and every problem. So Z is given to as AB square. So relative percentage error in Z we can write, this will be equal to percentage error in area plus twice of percentage error in B. Okay. So percentage error in Z we can write, this will be equal to percentage error in area is given to you in question number 6. Percentage error in area is given to as 1%. I am not writing all these values on the board. Okay. So you should just note it down from your question paper only. Percentage error in area is given to as, percentage error in A is given to as 1%. In the problem it is given to you percentage error in A is 1% and percentage error in B is given to you as 2%. Okay, so this becomes 1 plus twice of B is 2. So answer will be 5%. Okay, so here also option D is correct. Question number 6, answer is D. Question number 7. Okay, the least count of instrument is given to you as 0.01 centimeter. Taking all the precaution, the most possible error in the measurement can be. So I already told you in the video lectures that the least count of an instrument is the minimum error that an instrument can have, right? So the minimum error that can in this instrument whose least count is given to as 0.01 centimeter. Okay, so the minimum error, the most possible error, or you can say the minimum error which can be will be 0.01 centimeter. So option C is correct. Question number 7, option C is correct. The answer is 0.01 centimeter only. Okay, so लिस्ट काउंट जितना होता है उतना एरर हमारा आता है ऑलवेज। ओके, सो क्वेश्चन नंबर 8, सो क्वेश्चन नंबर 8 में भी डायरेक्टली आपसे फॉर्मूला ही पूछा गया है कि डेल्टा एक्स इज द एब्सोल्यूट एरर इन द मेजरमेंट ऑफ एक्स एंड डेल्टा वाई इज द एब्सोल्यूट एरर इन द मेजरमेंट ऑफ वाई, देन द मैक्सिमम एब्सोल्यूट एरर इन द मेजरमेंट ऑफ डिफरेंस ऑफ एक्स एंड वाई। तो मैंने कल आपको बताया था कि इफ z इज इक्वल टू a माइनस b, देन रिलेटिव एब्सोल्यूट एरर इन z इज इक्वल टू sum of absolute error in a plus sum of absolute error in b. So here instead of z, okay, so instead of a and b he is using x and y. So instead of a and b he is using x and y. Absolute error in x is delta x, absolute error in y is delta y. So absolute error in z will be delta x plus delta y, or this will be plus minus, because you know that the error can be positive as well as negative. So your answer will be B. Option B is correct. Question number 9. Question number 9, he asks you that what is the number of significant figures. So if you have watched my last lecture of significant figures carefully, then all these problems we had discussed in that lecture only. Okay, so here what is given to you, you have to find out the significant figures in 5.69 into 10 raised to power 15. There itself I told you that if 10 raised to power something is there, so this is not going to be considered in the significant figures. You have to find out the significant figures of this number only. Okay, so what will be the significant numbers in 5.69? So here no zero is there. See, if all the digits are non-zero, so all the digits are considered as significant. So number of significant figures here it is 3. Okay, so the option C is correct. 9th option C is correct. Question number 10. The number of significant figures in 35.000. Okay, so I told you two rules, rule number 4 and rule number 5. There I told you that if a number is the trailing zero, the rule number 4 and 5 were about the trailing zero. So there I told you that if a number is not considering decimal point, okay, if a number is not considering decimal, then all the trailing zeros are considered as non-significant. And if a number is considered a decimal point, if a number have a decimal point, then all the trailing zeros are considered to be significant. So here you can see the number has some decimal point. Okay, so if the number has some decimal point, then all the trailing zeros are considered as significant. So number of significant figures in 35.000 is 5. So option C is correct. Okay, all these rules we already discussed in the last class. Okay, question number 11. Question number 11 is, in the following figure one having 4 significant figures. So you have to identify out of the 4 options which have the 4 significant figures. So option A is given to you as 0.003, option B is 0.0053, option C is 0.530, option D is 6.053. Okay, so if I just want to, you have to check, you have to identify, you have to figure out in which options out of these 4 have the 4 significant digits. Okay, so if I just check option number A, so option number A, the number is less than 0. Okay, so I told you that if the number is less than 0, then that means the number will be start with some point only, so 0 point something. Okay, so all the zeros preceding to some non-digit numbers are considered as non-significant. तो जितनी भी जीरो होती हैं किसी भी नॉन जीरो नंबर से पहले, उनको हम क्या कंसिडर करके चलते हैं, वो नॉन सिग्निफिकेंट मान के चलते हैं. ओके, ये रूल नंबर 2 मैंने डिस्कस किया था आपको. ओके, सो दीज 2 zeros आर दीज 3 0. ये हमारा नॉन जीरो डिजिट नंबर है, दिस इज आवर नॉन जीरो डिजिट नंबर, number is less than 1, so all the zeros before non zero digit are considered to be non significant. So significant digit in option number A is only 1. If I just want to find out in option number B, the same rule is applied here. So this is our non zero digit number, so all these zeros are considered to be not significant. So total number of significant digit in option number B is 2. Okay, in option C, the rule number 4 is being applied. Trailing zeros. This is trailing zero, right? 0.530. So if the number is decimal point, if the number is decimal number, so all the trailing zeros are considered as significant. So this zero is being considered as significant. Number of significant digits, then you can write this will be 3. Here the number of significant figures. So I told you, if the zero is being trapped between the two numbers, here this zero is trapped right between the two non-zero digits. So this zero is also considered as significant. So number of significant figures here it is 4. So your option D is correct. Question number 11, option D is correct. Okay, question number 12. In the following, number 1 having 4 significant. Okay, sorry, this I discussed you question number 12 actually I discussed this time. This is not question number 11, this is question number 12. Question number 12 answer is D. Now I am going to discuss you question number 11. So in question number 11, what is being asked to you, which of the following has least number of significant figures? So out of the 4 options you have to identify in which number least number of significant figures is there. Question number 11. So option A is given to you as 0.80760. This is option A. Option B is 0.80200. Option C is 0.08076. Option D 80.267. So out of these 4 options you have to identify which number have the least significant figure. So if I want to find out what is the significant figures in option A. So in option A, this 0 is being trapped between the two non-zero digits. So of course this 0 is going to be considered as significant. Okay, one rule. Second rule is this 0 is trailing 0. So you have to find out whether the number is non-decimal or decimal. Here you can see that number is decimal. So if in a decimal number, always the trailing zeros are considered as significant. So this 0 is being considered as significant. Okay, so both these zeros are considered as significant. So number of significant figure here it is 3 plus 2, 5. In option B, here again this 0 is being trapped between the two non-zero digits. So of course this is going to be considered as significant. These two zeros are trailing zeros. So you have to see whether your number is decimal or non-decimal. Here you can see the number is decimal. So of course these two zeros are considered as significant. So number of significant digit here as well, this will be 3 plus 2, 5. Option number C. In option number C also 2 rules are there. First of all, this 0 is being trapped between the two numbers. So of course this is going to be considered as significant. Now what about this 0? So you know that this number is also less than 1. Okay, this number is also less than 1. And so if the number is less than 1, so all the zeros before a non-zero digit, all the zeros before non-zero digit are considered as not significant. So this 0 and this 0 is considered as non-significant. So number of significant digit here it is 4. Here if I want to find out what is the significant digit in option D. So here this 0 is being trapped between 8 and 2. So of course this is going to be considered as significant. Number of significant figure here in option D as well is 5. Okay. So minimum number of significant digit is in option C. So your option C is correct here. Question number 11 answer is C. Question number 13. Question number 13. What is the number of significant figures in 0.310 into 10 raised to power 3? So some number is given to you as 0.310 into 10 raised to power 3. Now I already told you that if 10 raised to power something is there, so this is not being considered into significant figures. So you have to just identify that how many significant figures is there in this number. So here this number is 0.310. So you have to just check whether this is a trailing zero. So of course trailing zero you have to just see whether the number is decimal or non-decimal. So of course the number is decimal. So this zero is considered as significant. So number of significant figure here it will be 1, 2, 3. So 3 is the number of significant figures in question number 3. So option B is correct. Question number 14. So question number 14 was about integration. So very simple problems were asked in integration as well as in differentiation. Okay. So integration of x square dx 0 to 1. So this is an example of definite integration because limits are being given to you. So first of all you are going to integrate x square dx. So this will be x raised to power 2 plus 1 divided by 2 plus 1. And this is 0, 1. So this is going to be equal to x cube by 3. Limits are 0 to 1. So 1 का cube by 3 minus 0 का cube by 3. Upper limit minus lower limit. So of course this is 0 only. So answer will be 1 by 3. So your option is option B is correct. Question number 14. Option A, B is correct. Question number 15. 15 again you have been asked the integration of secant square x. So you already know that the differentiation of tan x is secant square x. So integration is just opposite of differentiation. So if you want to find out the integration of secant square x 0 to pi by 4. So you know that the differentiation of tan x is secant square x. So if you want to do the integration of secant square x, then it is going to give you as tan x as the answer. Okay, and limit is 0 to pi by 4. Now upper limit minus lower limit. So upper limit is pi by 4 minus lower limit is 0. So tan pi by 4 minus 0. Tan pi by 4 is equal to 45. Tan 45 always you will get 1. Tan 0 is 0. So your answer is 1. So question number 15, option B is correct. Question number 16. Question number 16 is integration you have to find out of x raised to power 7 dx. Okay. So I can also write this as x raised to power 7 by 2 dx because whole root is there. So that means the power is 1 by 2. So that power will come in the multiplication. So you can write it as x raised to power 7 by 2. Okay. Again, now you can do the integration. This will be x raised to power n. So you know that x raised to power 7 by 2 plus 1 and the entire power will come in the denominator 7 by 2 plus 1. So your answer will be 2 by 9 x raised to power 9 by 2. Okay. So option B is correct. Okay. I am just rubbing this answer 0.01 centimeter. Question number 17. So y is given to you as x square plus sin x. And you have to find out the differentiation of y. So differentiation you can write dy by dx is equal to. So this is a algebraic function. So power will come in the multiplication and you have to reduce one power out of it. So 2 minus 1 plus differentiation of sin x is cos x. So dy by dx you can write this will be 2x plus cos x. So your option B is correct. Question number 18. 18 again y is given to you as x raised to power minus 2. Okay, this is also again algebraic function. So differentiation, what you are going to do, power will come in the multiplication and you have to reduce one power out of it. So minus 2 minus 1. So this become minus 2 x raised to power minus 3. Okay. So again option B is correct. Question number 19. Question number 19. Y is given to you as x square minus 4x. You have to find out the differentiation of it. dy by dx is equal to 2x minus 4. X square differentiation is 2x, 4x differentiation is 4. So your answer is, okay, you don't have to find out differentiation only. He asks you that what will be the minimum value of yx. Okay, so let me solve this. Question number 19. Let me solve it again. Here in this problem, most of the students they make the mistake in question number 19. So yx is given to you as x square minus 4x, and what is being asked to you that you have to find out the minimum value of yx. कि yx की minimum value क्या हो सकती है, ये आपसे पूछा है. So first of all, you will find out that at what value of x it can give you the minimum value. For that, what you are going to do, you are going to differentiate this function. So dy by dx you can write this will be 2x minus 4. For maximum minimum, what you will do, dy by dx is equal to 0. So this will be 2x minus 4 is equal to 0. So x is equal to 2. That means at x is equal to 2, this function is going to give you the minimum value. Why it is giving minimum only? For that you can do the double differentiation test. So in double differentiation, if you are going to do it, so this will be 2. So 2 is less than 0. So this will give you the minimum. Okay. So at x is equal to 2, this function is going to give you the minimum value. But here he is not asking you that at what value of x this function is going to give you the minimum value. He is asking you that what is the minimum value of the function. Okay. तो बहुत सारे बच्चों ने ये मिस्टेक किया है कि उनको लगा कि जो आंसर है वो हमारा 2 है, लेकिन 2 तो वो वैल्यू है x की जिस पर ये फंक्शन हमारा मिनिमम वैल्यू देगा. आपको क्या फाइंड आउट करना है, इस फंक्शन की मिनिमम वैल्यू फाइंड आउट करना है. तो व्हाट यू आर गोइंग टू डू, यू आर गोइंग टू सब्स्टिट्यूट x इज इक्वल टू 2 इन आवर फंक्शन बिकॉज दैट इज द मिनिमम वैल्यू ऑफ द फंक्शन, राइट. सो x इज इक्वल टू 2, यू आर गोइंग टू सब्स्टिट्यूट इट. सो दिस विल बी 2 स्क्वायर माइनस 4 into 2. So your answer will be 4 minus 8. So answer is minus 4. This will be your answer. Okay. So option B is there. Question number 20. Question number 20. Y is given to x by 2 minus, x by root 2 minus sin x, and he asks you that at what value of x it will give you the minimum value. Here he asks you that what is the value of x. Okay, he did not ask you that what is the value of y, minimum value of y. He asked you that at what value of x the function will give you the minimum value. Okay, so again you are going to do the first differentiation dy by dx for maximum minimum. So if you differentiate it, so 1 by root 2, x by root 2 differentiation is 1 by root 2, sin x differentiation is cos x. This should be equal to 0. So cos x is equal to 1 by root 2, or x you can write this must be equal to pi by 4, 45 degree or pi by 4. Okay. So at x is equal to pi by 4, it will give you the minimum value. So your option C is correct. Okay. Now question number 21 to 25, all the subjective problems were given to you. So 21 to 24, question number 21 to 24 we had already discussed in the class. Okay, तो यहाँ पे जो बच्चों ने गलतियाँ की है वो फर्स्ट और सेकंड प्रॉब्लम, जो प्रोपेगेशन ऑफ एरर हम एडिशन और सब्सट्रैक्शन में जो निकालते हैं वो तो ऑलमोस्ट सभी बच्चों ने सही किया है, लेकिन कुछ बच्चों ने प्रोडक्ट में गलती की है, कुछ बच्चों ने डिवीजन में, बहुत सारे बच्चों ने गलती की है क्योंकि उनको बाइनोमियल थ्योरम अप्लाई नहीं करनी आई. बहुत सारे बच्चों को बाइनोमियल थ्योरम अप्लाई नहीं करनी आई तो उन्होंने क्वेश्चन नंबर 24 में डिवीजन वाले में गलती बहुत ज़्यादा की है. कुछ बच्चों ने प्रोडक्ट वाले क्वेश्चन में भी, जहाँ पे क्वेश्चन नंबर 23 में आपको पूछा था प्रोपेगेशन ऑफ एरर इन प्रोडक्ट, तो इस वाले क्वेश्चन में भी एरर की है. और मोस्टली बच्चों ने क्या एरर किया है कि इन दोनों प्रॉब्लम में 23 और 24 में एक टर्म आती है हमारी डेल्टा एक्स डेल्टा वाई, मल्टीप्लीकेशन ऑफ एरर इन एक्स इनटू मल्टीप्लीकेशन ऑफ एरर इन वाई। दिस टर्म वी हैव टू अज्यूम इज इक्वल टू 0, क्योंकि मैंने आपको बताया था कि जब दो एरर होते हैं हमारे, वो बहुत छोटे होते हैं एरर, अगर दो छोटी क्वांटिटी को हम मल्टीप्लाई करते हैं तो नेग्लिजिबल हो जाते हैं। ओके, तो ये बच्चों ने नेग्लेक्ट नहीं किया, ये 0 की इक्वेट नहीं किया उन लोगों ने, ठीक है। वो ऐसे कैसे सब्स्टिट्यूट करते रहे, तो फाइनली आपका ये वाला जो आंसर है डेल्टा एक्स और डेल्टा वाई वाली जो टर्म है, ये भी उनके आंसर में आ रही है। ओके, सो दिस इज रॉन्ग। तो आप ये अपने क्वेश्चन नंबर 21 से 24 मैं डिस्कस नहीं करने वाला हूँ बोर्ड पे, क्योंकि हमने ऑलरेडी ये अच्छे से डिस्कस कर ली है क्लास के अंदर ही। ओके, तो आप क्लास नोट्स को रेफर कीजिए एंड यू विल फाइंड आउट ऑल द आंसर फॉर क्वेश्चन नंबर 21 टू 24। लास्ट प्रॉब्लम थी आपकी क्वेश्चन नंबर 25, बहुत अच्छी प्रॉब्लम थी आप, कुछ बच्चों ने सही किया है इस प्रॉब्लम को, लेकिन काफी बच्चों ने गलत भी किया है। तो इसमें क्या दिया हुआ है आपको, इनिशियल टेम्परेचर ऑफ लिक्विड इज गिवन टू यू, T1 इज गिवन टू यू एज ओके इज रिकॉर्डेड एज 25 प्लस 4 प्लस माइनस 0.1 डिग्री सेंटीग्रेड। ओके, सो ये मेजर्ड वैल्यू है, इसके अंदर जो एरर है वो है हमारा प्लस माइनस 0.1 डिग्री सेंटीग्रेड। ओके, नाउ ऑन हीटिंग इट्स फाइनल टेम्परेचर इज रिकॉर्डेड एज, सो लेट्स से ये है हमारा इनिशियल टेम्परेचर, ये है इसका फाइनल टेम्परेचर। आफ्टर हीटिंग इट्स टेम्परेचर बिकम 52.7 प्लस माइनस 0.1 डिग्री सेंटीग्रेड। और आपसे क्या पूछा इसने, फाइंड द इंक्रीज इन टेम्परेचर। तो इंक्रीज इन टेम्परेचर क्या होता है आपका, इंक्रीज इन टेम्परेचर यू कैन राइट इंक्रीज इन टेम्परेचर इज, लेट्स से इंक्रीज इन टेम्परेचर मैंने लिख दिया T, या फिर Z मान लीजिए, आप कुछ भी मान लीजिए उसको, मैंने T मान लिया इंक्रीज इन टेम्परेचर। ओके, तो वो क्या होगा, इंक्रीज इन टेम्परेचर फाइनल टेम्परेचर माइनस इनिशियल टेम्परेचर, तो T फाइनल माइनस T इनिशियल। अभी आपको क्या पता है, मेरा फाइनल में भी कुछ एरर है, इनिशियल में भी कुछ एरर है। अगर दो क्वांटिटी को मैं सब्सट्रैक्ट करता हूं तो भी आपको पता है कि आपका एरर क्या हो जाता है, आपका ऐड हो जाता है। तो आप क्या लिखेंगे, जो आपका इंक्रीज इन टेम्परेचर आएगा वो क्या आएगा आपका T प्लस माइनस डेल्टा T। तो T की वैल्यू क्या आएगी आपकी, अगेन वही T फाइनल ट्रू वैल्यू आएगी आपकी सीधी, तो वो मैंने लिख दिया 52.7 माइनस 25.4, ठीक है। ये तो ट्रू वैल्यू आएगी और एरर आपके आपस में ऐड हो जाएंगे, विच इज डेल्टा TF प्लस डेल्टा TI। सो दिस विल बी 0.1 डिग्री प्लस 0.1 डिग्री। ओके, सो योर आंसर विल बी increase in temperature I can write this will be 52.7 minus 25.4, so this will be 0.3 and this is 27, so 27 by 3 plus minus 0.2, this will be your answer. ओके, बहुत सारे बच्चों ने मिस्टेक किया है इस प्रॉब्लम में, तो वो बच्चे देख ले कि कैसे सोल्व करना है इस प्रॉब्लम को। ओके, सो विद दैट योर डिस्कशन ऑफ द पेपर इज कंप्लीटेड। if you have any doubt, then you are free to ask me. Okay, so thank you.